Hi everyone, it's Marty. Here I am. I know it's been a long time, but I've had a few issues with my arm. I wanted to give a quick update on the shoulder. And then I'm gonna do a little show and tell of a few little things I've been working on. But the shoulder is healing. I had a really sharp pain here that is now subsided. I'm still, I can't hold, and the doctor told me this. He said, it's not going to work like it did before. It won't be as good. And it's not. I can't hold a typing position. I can only sew in small increments. Like my days of sewing all day long are behind me for right now. He said it could continue to heal up to 2 years. So the thing, if I get this shoulder up, arm up, shoulder level, it can be very painful. So, and a lot of people don't do that, but you can get that way with the sewing machine. If you're bent over and you're pushing fabric, it can, and it hurts. So if you'll notice, I am not in my sewing shop. That may become a thing of the past, only because it is far away. It's about 250 yards from my house. And because I can't sew in long increments now, it's just hard, like managing the house and, sewing, to go down there for just a few minutes or for 15 or 30 minutes. So I'm in my dining room. I started sewing in my dining room years ago, and I'm still sewing in my dining room. But, I can get my arm behind my back, like here. I can't snap a bra or anything, but I can get it to here. And my doctor said he said most people never get to that. Most people never make that. But you know how it happened? I had a habit of putting my phone in my back pocket, and for a long time I couldn't. And then all of a sudden, just memory, I'd try to do it. And I guess each time I tried it, it stretched it a little more. So now I can do that. I can get my arm almost up. You can see it's not quite up, but it's almost there. And, but it just is still really tender. And it's funny, I can't type for long periods of time, and I can't sew for long periods of time if I'm bent over. I have another machine, my Juki, and a table that is adjustable, and we may bring that up here at some point. My husband really doesn't want to talk about it right now. And, my long arm is there in the building. So if I'm doing quilting, then it's, I just go down there and sit and rest for a while and get up. But quilting is mostly at this angle. I stand up to do it. So it doesn't bother me as much. But like the job I had, they asked me to go ahead and resign, or they were going to fire me because, they're like, we didn't plan on you being out this long. So, it was understandable. So I went ahead and resigned from that. It was either that or have a bad, they said, if you don't resign, you'll have a mark on your record, on your employment record against you due to medical, which I don't know. It's 50 of one and half a dozen of another, 6 of one and half a dozen of another. I don't know if I don't even, I'm basically retired at this point. And I'm 60, almost 63, so I'm able to retire, but I don't think I'll ever retire. Not as long as I'm living on this earth anyway, because I just like to stay busy. 3 surgeries in 3 years have taken its toll on my body. I can tell I've slowed down more. I have to rest more. I think when women hit 60 that something changes, and even the Bible refers to the older women should teach the younger women they need to be 60 years old or older. So there must be something, you know, for we women who live to be 60 or older that, you know, there is something that slows down. But I'm just learning to kind of maneuver my way through that, you know. But the shoulders, it's slowed me down quite a bit. You know, I can't do some of the yard work I used to do. I can't do, there's, you know, and I'm not saying I can't, I'm just saying I'm having to find new ways to do things I did. Does that make sense? And I'm thankful it was my left arm and not my right arm, but you know, it is what it is. So, but it is healing. For those of you who are having the total reverse shoulder surgery, I would recommend it because it gets you out of that pain, and it is not as hard to recover from as rotator cuff surgery, but the recovery period is longer, you know, because your shoulder muscle is now working your arm, okay? So this shoulder muscle is being stretched. It has to learn to move the arm. It has to learn to stretch beyond its original limits, you know, that God designed it for. So it does work, and I'm so thankful for it. But, you know, it has slowed me down just a little. So here's what I've been doing. So a friend of mine said, Marty, why don't you join this block per month. I'm getting on to the sewing now. Block of the month thing that she was doing. And I paid like $27, $28 to join it. You use your own fabric. She just provides a pattern. I don't know why I did it because that purchase has really bothered me because I have plenty of things I could do a block of the month on without paying for it, you know? So that was like a stupid purchase on my part, not your part, because I'm really committed to sewing through my stash. And this year I'm not buying a lot of fabric unless it's just something I absolutely need. And I'm going to show you one of those needs. But I have just decided I'm not going to keep consuming. And I'm doing that in my entire life. I'm going through drawers, reorganizing, getting rid of stuff. Maybe that's part of hitting that 60s era too. You know, telling my kids, if you want something, you better come get it now. So, wanting to downsize, or maybe if that's not it, just have less in my home. Does that make sense? Because I've been very blessed. I'm very thankful, but there comes a time like now when I realize I cannot mop and vacuum my whole house in one day and dust it. I can't do it all in one day anymore. And I used to rip through this house in, you know, one day. I can't, that's not happening now. So here's one of the blocks. This was the first one, and she used solid, so I didn't do that. And what did I do? I ended up using the same color here as here. So now, tell me in the comments, should I take this block out and substitute the other fabric in for it, which would mean I remove this one and this one, or leave it like that? I think for me personally, I'm gonna bite the bullet and take this out. I had another one where I cut off, because I don't follow her instructions. I need to be a better instruction follower. I see something and I think, well, I'll just make it. Which is the way I grew up doing things. You know, we didn't have books and instructions and all that. So if I saw it, I just figured out how to make it. So I made, oh, right here it is. Oh, look at the strings. So I made, I messed up and cut one of the blocks I cut this block, I cut the top of it off. So I made another block, but not the way she did it, because she did it cutting diagonally across a big block. I wasn't doing that. So I just made one myself, and you know, of course the tip was too long. So that is remaining. I'm not gonna redo that, but I am going to take out this block and replace it and this edge block. You know, why It's that aggravates me so much. I'm like, I'll just give the quilt away. Now, look, give it away over one block. So I've got time. I just need to do it, you know, so I'm going to change that. Then you guys saw some blocks I had put together, and I have now put them all together. Let me see if I can get back and show you this quilt. And excuse the camera shaking, but let's see. I think this is the right way. But I put this quilt together, and I don't know if you can see it all, but it's right here. And it was a quilt package, you know, I bought like they sit blocks, and they were all cut out, which was nice. But I also bought the backing for it. Well, I pulled the backing out, and I hated it. I think they just used whatever fabric had not sold. It was a batik, but it was super thin. Maybe I'll make a shirt out of it this summer or fall. I mean, that's all I could think of to do with it. It's just, and it's thinner than I would normally wear, but I was like, there's no way I'm going to put this much work in a quilt, because I like it to look nice, and I do take, not pride in it, but I am careful with the things that I do. And so I had this fabric in my stash. I didn't go to buy, excuse me, I'm hitting this cord. Let me see if I can move this over. I had this fabric in my stash. It was a backing, a 3-yard backing I had bought. So now I've put it with it, which I really like. I mean, you can see it blends. The other one did not even match the fabrics on the front. I don't get it. So I don't know. That may have stopped me from ever buying a backing that goes to a pattern unless I see it, you know, on the website. I just was like very disappointed in that. But anyway, I really like the quilt. Well, because of my shoulder, I have literally pinned it together. You can see the pins. I'm going to hand quilt this one instead of putting it on the machine, which will give me something to do in the evenings. I'm not going to do anything fancy, but like there's a lot of little blocks and things I can stitch around, you know, and I'm going to do it in multicolored thread. A lot of the thread that's throughout the colors that are throughout the quilt, and I think it'll be a really pretty quilt when it's done. So all that, I mean, that's probably too much information. And so as I get that worked on, I'll kind of give you some little updates on it. So this, I'm going to tell you a little story about this one. This is the first quilt I ever made. I sewed clothes for 25 years or more, maybe 30, before I ever made a quilt. Always wanted to make one, but I thought quilting was too hard because the measurements had to be so precise. Because with garments, you can fudge a little bit. You know, it's not going to make too much of a difference. But, so I went and I took one class. This was the class. I had no book for this. This was the class on how to make this star, which isn't a favorite star of mine, but it was just the class that they did. So I paid $25 for it, and that was about 21, 22 years ago. All right, for one class, $25, and I'm complaining about a block of the month for $27. Well, I mean, do you see how our economy's changed so much? Money just doesn't go as far as it used to, and I guess I'm watching my pennies more than I was then. I don't know. But regardless, you had to go in and take the class. There wasn't anything online back then. So when I took the class, I went in and I just picked out some colors, which were basically you know, 8-pack of Crayola crayon colors. And the lady that owned it that owned the shop loved Civil War fabric. And she looked at that block, and I said, well, I'm gonna make enough, I need to get enough fabric to make enough blocks for a whole quilt. She said, you'll never make it. You'll never make that quilt because of the colors of the blocks. She just said it's gonna be too boring, you know. She just did not like it at all. She was the owner of the shop. So I bought it anyway. I knew how to make one block, so I didn't have a pattern. I just put this together, laid it out on the bed. Because like I said, growing up, if I wanted to make something, I just had to come up with something. So I made this quilt with, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4. I don't know. It was 20 or 20. I don't know. I have to look at it. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 blocks across and 4 blocks up. And then I realized it wasn't going to be large enough for a queen size bed. So then I put all of the sashing on it. Then I put this sashing on it. Still wasn't as large as I wanted. So then I put this sashing. Still wasn't as large. So I put another sashing. So then, after I did all that, I didn't know about long arm quilters. So I was living in Kentucky at the time, took the quilt back with me to Rock Hill. My son was in town from college, and we took designs that I had bought, these blue things that you could mark out designs on. We marked the whole quilt up, he and I. I had no idea about hand quilting and how many times I was going to have to turn this quilt to do these intricate designs. That's like some leaves right there. You know, I could have just done an X. So it took me 1 solid year to hand quilt this quilt, because I really didn't know what I was doing when I was, you know, marking all that off, and my son was helping me. So after a year of having this on my lap every night, whether I went on vacation, whether I was watching TV, whether I was just sitting on the sofa, I hand quilted this quilt every night. So much so that when I finished quilting it, it felt like my legs were cold. I was so used to having it on me, and I lived in Kentucky. So I thought I would show it to you while I actually had it over here, but my daughter-in-law comes in because I decided to give my son the quilt because he had put in the time with me to help me mark it, and he really liked it. So, and remember, I'm still determined to finish this quilt. So I finished it, took it back to the shop owner, she took pictures of everybody's quilt. She still didn't like it. You could just tell on her face she didn't like it. But I took it back and showed her I did finish that quilt. So it was about like maybe a year and 3 months later when it was finished, if it was that long. Because it took a year to quilt it, and I know it didn't take me 3 months to put it together. So my son's wife came in, my precious daughter-in-law, and she said, we need you to fix this binding because it's coming up in some places, because I did use cotton thread with it. Well, and this quilt has been well used and well worn over the years. I mean, my son has used it. It has never been in a drawer for a whole year or anything. He keeps it out most of the year. And I noticed that it's fraying in some places, and there's some little holes that have developed around the binding. So this color of green, believe it or not, is not a real popular color right now. So I ended up having to go, I checked Fat Quarter Shop, Green Fairy, I checked a whole lot of Missouri Star, of the normal places you think to buy fabric online. Did not have anything near this color. So I went to Marshall's and Dry Goods, and they had something in their line that was it's a dahlia print, but it had this dark and light and kind of a yellowish hue to it, lime green hue to it. So I ordered a couple of yards of that because you have to order by the yard. And so I'm waiting on that to come in. It has shipped, and I'm going to take this entire binding off and rebind it. I thought about stitching it down to make it a lot, I guess, to last longer. But I think what I've decided is I'm going, on the machine, but I think what I've decided is I'm going to put it on like I did this one, hand stitch it, but I'm going to hand stitch it with polyester thread. Because in 22 years, I don't know if I'll be here to redo it. I don't know. And who knows, the Lord may come back. So in that time, but if it wears, it wears. But I am putting a brand new binding on it. Once I get it on, I'll take a little video and show you. So here's my dining room. Look at that. I do have a long table, and my husband's like, well, we only use a table if the kids are coming over to eat during the holidays or a special time. So just use a table. So I do, even though you walk through it and see it every day. It doesn't bother me to see my sewing stuff. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing wonderful. I've been watching your videos. Sorry it's taken me so long to get back to you. We went through my husband's surgery. Everything is fine with him now through his brain surgery. And it's just been a lot of life going on. But I wanted to let you know, I appreciate you. I love your videos. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.